Hey, it's Cosmo Solutions 8, and today you and I are going to talk about the Google Ads Video Builder, which is a tool that's in beta that I'm really excited about and have been really excited about since they announced it in April. And we've been asking for access for some time and have not received it. So I clearly am not important to Google, and Google, for whatever reason, isn't rolling this thing out, given how long that they're taking. Regardless, I want to talk about some of what's to come because I feel like this is something that we need to prepare for. One note prior to, let me just preface this with saying that Google destroys entire industries on a very regular basis. If you think about what Google's featured snippets did, it basically killed more or less every directory in existence because, here's Google delivering all the information that you would have needed to go to a website for. Now you don't need to visit that site. And so the site becomes, it's forced obsolescence. And they do this consistently. A couple of just really mild examples. For instance, Google's call tracking wasn't an original feature and something that they built in, and it actually hurt some of the call tracking software services. Now, we still use third-party call tracking software because they do things that Google's software doesn't. But it is interesting to see them continuously step into new arenas like unabashed, just no qualms and no issues. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't compete with people. That's not what I'm saying at all. They absolutely should. But it's actually pretty impressive how far outside of their core proficiency they're willing to travel. We've seen that, like with Maps, for instance. Inside of Google Maps, you'll notice just some features and functionality that are, just the fact that they send those cars around to do the street view photographs, I think is insane, but awesome, right? Like, it paid off. But if somebody floated that in a boardroom and I was the CEO of Google, I'd have fired him, which clearly explains why I'm not the CEO of Google, because it was a great idea. Just on paper, it just didn't seem practical or necessarily monetizable. So anyway, it's helpful to understand Google's mentality. They're just kind of a because we can type of company. And there's something really cool about that, unless you're the people that they can do whatever it is that they're doing too. And in this particular instance, it's video editing software. So there's this whole stable of software applications that allow you to create these templated videos. I've paid for some of them, and we currently use some of them, and I can see this being a really significant hit to those. It's not going to replace video editing software by any means, especially for your larger scale videos, but for those small one and dones, which there are a lot of software applications. There's actually one we just purchased from AppSumo. I won't shout them out because I'm only medium happy with them, but this is all they do. They create real quick snippet videos, and the Google Video Builder is going to, I don't know if it will completely crush them because there's other implementations for those videos, but they built their software specifically for PPC use. So it's worth thinking about your business and what you do, and just how anti-fragile you are, and whether or not you would survive a major player. And it doesn't have to be Google. It can be Facebook. When Facebook bought WhatsApp and started expanding into the messaging space, like, the disruption to that space was immense. Or a better example, I think, would be Facebook's attempted acquisition of Snapchat. And when they were when Snapchat spurned Facebook's advances, Facebook just rebuilt Snapchat inside of Facebook and effectively destroyed them in very short time. So I hope you'll forgive that tangent, but I think it's worth noting that these big behemoth trillion-dollar organizations can make one little feature update and completely shut down, an ancillary or third-party business model. And at the same time, one little feature update can open up a whole new business model. So we're spending some time thinking about. All that said, that's enough preamble. I just want to dive into the Video Builder, which again is in beta, and some of what we have to expect. One thing that I've noticed is their emphasis is on short videos. So they say 6 seconds, 15 seconds, or 16 seconds. It's interesting to me that they don't have a 29-second video, given that the Google Display Network allows for 29-second videos, up to 30 seconds. So I don't know what the logic would be for those three distinctions, and 15 to 16 feels irrelevant. So I wonder if this is meant to be 6, 15, and 30, and if that's a typo. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen typos on Google support documentation. I watched the video, by the way, and the video interestingly references this URL, but when you visit this URL, it goes nowhere. So we don't know what to do. And that's from November 2019, which is interesting because the first time I heard about the Video Builder was in April Yeah, April 2020. Weird. So maybe it was out before I realized it. But all of that said, we're dealing with short form videos, which will obviously expand. I think that kind of goes without saying. You can request access. Good luck to you, by the way. We haven't been able to gain access yet. So maybe there's somebody with more pull with Sergey that can go put in a good word on my behalf. But once you get access, then it looks a lot like Google's responsive display ad builder. Just in terms of the way that it's structured. And if you watch the video, you'll sort of see, let me show you just specifically some of the elements of the builder and the way that it's functioning. You upload your media the same way you do in the responsive display ad builder. You're creating your CTAs and your headlines and those things. That's a really good shot. So you can kind of see how they're structuring these video templates in order to just receive the information that you want to display, but to put it into kind of a responsive format. They have some rules here. You have to use an updated version of Chrome, which is no big deal. You have to own the media that you're using, of course. I'm kind of curious how they're going to police that ultimately, although they've been pretty good about doing that inside of some of their other properties. And they're offering up audio tracks. So it's basically just this predefined video template that you get access to, that you get to upload your assets into, and then bam, you've got a video, which is pretty cool. The other thing that I think is interesting to think about, and they haven't explicitly stated this, but I would anticipate this being the case, Google's responsive display ad builder allows you far more reach than using normal display ads, to the tune, I think, of an increase of 30%. And maybe it's not an increase of 30%. Maybe it's not using the responsive display ad builder loses 30%. But either way, there's a 30% swing in one direction to the other, and that's notable. Incidentally, there's a difference between gaining 30% and having to deal with 70% of an existing data set. Anyway, sorry for that. When you use Google's responsive display ad builder, you get more play, is the short version. And you get more play because the responsive display ad builder builds ads in real time for specific contexts. And it's because it has all these puzzle pieces that it can put together. It gives Google the ability to position you in just far better and more frequent ways. I'm willing to bet that happens inside of the Google Video Builder, in that you're going to get way more penetration than you would if you used your own videos, because I think that Google's going to be able to really customize these videos for the specific implementation. So that's number one, which I'm interested in seeing. Some kind of expanded video views and maybe a prioritization of video inside of the Google Display Network, which I'm also interested in seeing. Right now, GDN obviously uses video, but I don't think that it's the priority. I think this could absolutely change it, especially if Google's the one creating the templates, because Google's going to know what works, or at least you would think that. So that'll be interesting to watch. The other thing, that the value proposition that Google has put forth, and I haven't been able to test, is the fact that you can customize videos based off of your prospect. And so we can add variables essentially, and the video is going to be constructed in this responsive display ad builder in theory works the exact same way. The video is constructed for that specific prospect. So almost the same way that your ad rank is calculated for every auction independently in real time, your video is going to be constructed for every individual person. And Google's going to say, well, I think this imagery is going to appeal to this person, and this color set, and this title and call to action, whatever. That's cool. The ability to customize our ads against a prospect, and customized specifically around whatever context. So I imagine that the site that they're on is going to make a significant impact too. When you're building responsive display ads, Google asks you whether or not you want your visual identity to be overwritten if the displaying website has really strong rules there. And what I like about that is it's starting to give us the ability to kind of control the brand narrative and the brand experience. But with Google's smart bidding and the way that it's going, I can see these custom videos, and I can see this new implementation, not just with video, but this idea that Google's going to customize the ads, and not just split test, not just roll over to the next option, but in a defined logical way that is influenced according to machine learning, begin putting different ads in front of different people for different reasons. Up until this point, really what we've done almost ubiquitously is you have a number of ads, and then you just find the winner. What's interesting about that is just because that ad won doesn't mean that it's going to win for everybody every time. As a matter of fact, that ad appealed to 70 out of 100 people. Well, let's say ad A, I'm obviously oversimplifying this, but ad A appeals to 70 out of 100 people. Ad B appeals to 30 out of 100 people. Well, what we're doing now is just defaulting to ad A, and then we'll run more split tests. What Google's allowing us to do, though, is keep both ads, but identify when the 70 out of 100 that are going to appeal to ad A, identify when they search and show them this ad, but not alienate the 30 out of 100, which if you think about the optimization capabilities, if you take that idea and then you cascade that across every single, potential traffic source, that's huge. It's huge. So optimizing for the lowest common denominator is a really dangerous game. Come to think of it, that's actually a really good video, isn't it? I'm going to shoot a video on that. But that's kind of what we do. It's kind of what we do. And this multivariant split test, and it's not even a split test any longer, really. This multivariant, contextually appropriate distribution, if there's a more annoying way to say that, somebody tell me, I think is going to solve for that problem. To where we're no longer optimizing for the lowest common denominator. We're now optimizing according to specific common denominators that help us identify alignment between different avatars, and then deliver the ad that's most likely to appeal to that avatar. So really excited to see that roll out. Would love to test it when that happens. Google, if you can hear me. I know you can hear me. I know you're listening. I know you're watching now. And please, just give me all the things. Like, what's the deal, bro? Anyway, blah, blah, blah. This is a little scattered, this one. So forgive me if this video annoyed you. This isn't indicative of every video. Like, a lot of our stuff is just jam-packed full of value. This was a little bit more me like philosophizing, which I probably shouldn't do. So would be interested in your feedback. Hit me in the comments if you have any input. Thumbs up if you liked the video. If you didn't like the video, you can just go somewhere else. There's no need to take any further action. Subscribe if you want to see a video every day, which I hope you do. And otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.